So banking as a service is, there's as many definitions as people providing it. The way I think about it is it's a way of allowing organisations who've got an innovative idea to launch it more quickly into the market without having to do the hard work of get the regulatory permissions, build the platform and everything else. I think the key thing in BAS is the Bs. So the B for banking licence and B for balance sheet. I think Chetwood's business is, in fact, I should probably explain who we are for a minute.
Yeah, go for it.
So we're the new bank you haven't heard of. We have been going for about 5 years. We're a manufacturer of digital product, and we probably take the opposite commercial plan to the Starlings of the world, who have a one umbrella brand that they publish to go and get transactional bank accounts. We run lots of different brands in the country at the moment. So LiveLend and Better Borrow are the two highest rated personal loan brands in the UK on Trustpilot. They're both ours. We run a brand called SmartSave for savings, and we're in the middle of launching Wave, the credit card. So our approach is to build bespoke brands and products for micro segments of customers. We have about 100 partners at the moment that we distribute those products through. So from our perspective, banking as a service is a way of getting innovative products out to customers without having to go, I need to do a banking product, therefore I need to be a bank. And you know, the process of getting the bank license is a lot easier than it used to be, but it's still tough and it's expensive. Right? I think we've raised about 200 million quid to get here, so it's not a trivial thing.
200 million.
Whereas in terms of our partners, we can get loan customers live in 24 hours, cards in a handful of weeks. So speed to market is way faster.
Sure. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's thinking outside the box to deliver something special to the customer. But I mean, look, in essence, how does it work? How does it get to us?
So our process starts from the opposite end of the channel than we were just talking about with Starling. So rather than going software backwards, we go customer forward. So we'll work with partners to develop what the proposition is in sort of the simplest business we do at the moment. If you take a money supermarket or a clear school, they'll hit our API, they'll send us a handful of data about the customer. We'll return them a fully priced and personalised product offer in 60 or 70 microseconds. So what we'll do is design the product, work with the partner. What do you know about that customer? What do you want to do for them? And then you've got a series of modules. If you go back to Sam's big box slide, there's God knows how many different individual services. Now in our architecture, all of those are RESTful APIs that you can choose to take whichever thing you need to string together. So if you know how to do decisioning, great, do your own decisioning. If you want us to do it, we can do that too. If you need the core banking to hold the product, we can do all of those.
I hope I haven't stirred anything between you guys and Starling.
No, I think it's a brilliant business.
Friendly competition, that's what we like to hear. But look, at the end of the day, we can talk about banking as a service, but if you break down the benefits, who gains the most on this?
So I think both directions. I think there are probably 3 or 4 blocks of people who are going to benefit as customers of banking as a service. So we work with businesses that have large digital customer bases but no ability to do their own product. So it could be, I don't know, a car insurer would be an example of someone who might want a loan product, or we're working with some mid-tier banks and a building society around how can we put more product into their infrastructure, if you like. So if you have an expensive to maintain legacy technology platform that maybe get releases 3 times a year if you're lucky, we can help them add product. So for them, they get speed to market, they get innovation, they get yield, and different things in sort of orthogonal product sets. I think the other area which is becoming increasingly exciting is when the financial services product is embedded alongside the sort of real world product. So obviously Klarna got mentioned before, but car leases, you know, all of those kind of finance things. We can provide widgets to retailers of other things.
But I mean, you've kind of touched on this, but I mean, what other products and solutions can BAS support so that ultimately you can improve the experience for customers? Because that's what it's about really, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems at the moment that the place where we're busiest is in decisioning. So actually the front end of the funnel seems to be attracting more interest, because I think if you go out generally and say, how do you fancy a core banking platform migration, most people, even the IT people, will say no thanks. You know, when I used to work for HSBC, I think I spent 10 years doing a migration project for a two-year life product, and it never finished. So I think we need to be aiming at the front end where you can provide discrete customer solutions. So we do provide apps for people who don't have apps. We provide decisioning. What we haven't found is a lot of interest, to be honest, in let's keep all of the front end and just do the back end product for us.
I mean, look, you mentioned organisations outside of financial services. Again, it's something which has cropped up in the conversations that we've had preceding our chat. But which sectors, in your opinion, are perhaps most primed to embrace BaaS offerings? I mean, you know, are we talking specifically about the automobile sector, big tech marketplaces, retail, or dare I say it, even gaming?
It's interesting. If you'd have asked me this question a couple of years ago, I'd have thought marketplaces was the thing. So Monzo V1 was going to be a marketplace, and you've heard Starling talk about it at the moment. I think as we sit here today, I think it is anyone who's got an engaged customer base that they know something about that has a need. So at its most simplistic perspective, if you think about our lending products, if somebody can hand us name, address, and date of birth, we can hand them loan offer, card offer, mortgage offer, and all the rest of that. So you need somebody who's got the access. We're busiest with digital retailers and with membership organisations, those folks. So it's almost like a return to the sort of affinity business that I was doing 20 years ago.
How do you see this helping to improve things for the customers, having that broad base?
I think it raises the bar in terms of competition. I think it's a truism, but people, as Sam said, people don't move current accounts. Nobody window shops financial services. Your digital expectations are set in Amazon, in Google, and wherever else. So I think the important thing is to... Oh, my mind's gone completely blank. That's embarrassing on the stage, isn't it? You tell me the question again.
I could make things easier for you by saying my mind's gone blank as well. So we both share the embarrassment together. But I was talking about improving things for customers, because prior to that, I talked about alternative marketplaces.
You're exactly right. Sorry, I was even boring myself. Stick with me.
You're not boring at all. Don't worry.
One of our first products was the Live Loan Reward Loan, which is a data dynamic loan and actually reprices itself as customers' credit scores improve. And what those sorts of products do is to create a push within the broader industry for people to improve things, right? The banking industry is a weird one. I think it's the last industry that's not industrialized. The big players are all vertically integrated. They're trying to do customer service, they're trying to do treasury, they're trying to do technology. And that means they don't do any of it very well. Whereas if a business like ours can deal with all that difficult banking stuff and let businesses focus on what they can do for their customers, what do they want to do. And what we built in our platform with Ubota is a deep branded, flexible platform which actually allows people to do very dynamic things with products and change it. So we're open to wild ideas and we can get them live quickly.
You have this awful habit of preempting some of the questions I'm going to put to you. But I mean, what you've been talking about, I mean, how viable is it as a business model for different types of banks? In other words, is it viable for big incumbents against nimble neobanks? Are the neobanks perhaps in a better position to embrace this?
I think Sam's presentation was good on that. I think that you've got to decide what it is you've got. Now, the incumbent banks have massive installed customer bases, cheap capital, cheap liquidity. They don't have the ability to build and deploy products. So I don't think it works as a reverse thing where I'm a big high street bank, let's sell technology. However, they absolutely could partner with a business like ours to accelerate product development and get it out into the market. But I think in an ideal world, everyone's going to decide where they sit in the market. I think where you lose is to try to do the thing you're not good at. I think you slim down on what you are good at and partner with that. And certainly our business, we are partnering with a bunch of other FIs who've been around longer than us, who've got balance sheet and have got customers, but they realise they may be good at getting savings into fund lending. So if you're a classic building society mortgage business, you wouldn't know where to start to launch a loan business. That's what we do. We can just hand you a loan business that you can use your funding, your capital
Sure,
to
adapt the
go and
model
grow.
accordingly.
Yeah,
But I
absolutely.
mean, look, what I've learned from this and also hearing Sam talking is that, you know, when we talk about BaaS, it is a pretty broad term, and there are plenty of different types of as-a-service model which are actually out there up for grabs. So you've got treasury as a service, lending as a service, all that kind of stuff. And that begs the predictive question, what comes next? What other as-a-service proposition could the incumbents provide? Or am I shooting ahead too quickly here?
No, I'll give you our perspective, I suppose. Generally, we see the whole end-to-end thing as a smorgasbord that you can pick from. So whichever of the component services you want, decisioning, KYC, mobile apps, funding, treasury management product, you can string them together in whatever direction you want to do that. What's been surprising to me is we have a new line of business, which is proposition development as a service, because in our core business, Julia, our Chief Product Officer, since day one has been obsessed about customer research, building everything for customers. And on another day, I'll tell you about how we ended up with different words, different colours, and a different product to the one we took into research when we started. But that, as we've talked to partners about providing them solutions, they've been so impressed with the sort of digital product management that we do, that we're right out at the beginning of the process with them, and we're actually doing primary customer research that they're paying us to do, which will then flow through to a product much later. So, but I think that's peculiar to us more than anything else.
Right, but at the end of the day, it may be peculiar to you, but it sets the template for others to follow should they desire. But if you're going to do this, what is it that you need to consider if you want to have a successful rollout strategy? Because clearly, no path is free. There are bound to be hurdles. What are the potential hurdles that need to be cleared?
That's a great question. I think I'm on the same side of the fence as Sam in that you've got to do it yourself first. Right? So the reason we run 2 personal loan brands in the UK is to prove that we can deep brand different platforms. So I think the first thing you've got to do is prove that another person can actually consume your services. So if you think about all those scary data centers under the North York Moors or whatever they are, you're not doing it there, right? So if you're not in the cloud and you haven't got the APIs live and you can't be easily integrated with, those are even table stakes. And then I think it's being clear what problem you're solving for the end consumer. So we're very strong in our business trying to understand what our partner are trying to do for who. So we always go to the sort of end customer and work our way backwards, and that seems to work for us. I think it's all very well to go, I need to generate new revenue, let's go do BaaS, because I've heard about it at a conference. Well, what are you doing for who? How are you going to deliver it, and how do you get paid?
Fair enough. Great note on which to end. But Andy, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Brilliant.